Hey guys, it's time for a little show and tell. This rifle was given to me by my father. Um, Clear, safe. Um, this is a model 788 Remington. So, as part of my journey into manhood, I was given this rifle and I was taught how to use it. My dad took me to the range. In fact, my dad made hand loads for this that turned it into an absolute tech driver. Just an awesome weapon. But the one of the things about the 788 is it's very short, which makes it a very loud gun. So I was a teenage hunter. I think at the time I was 16. We were in Pennsylvania. We got our licenses and we were hunting white-tailed deer in the mountains of Pennsylvania. And my dad he was ready for me to have my own gun, but he wasn't ready for me to be off by myself. So we were going together and it was an awesome time. And so we got set up and we were walking through the woods. And one of the things, once you put a round in the chamber, you pull it back to put it on safe and it won't fire. And if you go forward, it does fire. That's the sound of the bolt going forward. So the firing pin, excuse me. So I had loaded up around and I had the weapon on safe. But during the day, we hadn't really seen many deer. So I'm walking through the woods, enjoying my time with my dad, listening for deer. And but as I got bored, I started playing with the weapon. And so for some reason, I kept playing with the safety. I kept messing with the safety, taking it on and off safe, with a loaded gun, mind you. So at one point, my dad decides that we're going to move up to a different area to try to sit and hunt. And so we start walking together. So as we're walking along, I'm holding the gun at port arms, and I'm about 2 feet away from my dad's back. So he's in front of me walking, and we're walking down a really narrow deer path in the woods. And I decide that I'm going to start playing with the safety. And I'm checking the safety with the trigger pull. I'm doing it quiet as we walking, but we're walking through the woods. And I'm messing around, messing. At some point, my glove or my hand or something must have caught on the trigger, and I drove it forward. And that happened right there. So while driving forward with my thumb, my trigger finger pulled the trigger. I don't know if any of you have ever heard what a 308 hunting rifle sounds like when you don't have any hearing protection on, but it is amazing normally. But this particular gun is like a carbine, and it really barks. And so I laugh now. It wasn't funny at the time. When this gun goes off, it is 2 feet behind my dad, who is listening with ears that are unbelievable. He could hear a deer hundreds of yards away, taking just tiny steps in the woods. And that's the kind of listening he was doing, not expecting that I was going to fire a cannon behind his poor head, 2 feet behind him. Well, needless to say, I completely lost it. Luckily, I held onto the gun. And my dad spun around with giant eyes and just completely in shock. And he was looking, he had thought I had killed myself. He could not, he wanted to know exactly what I was shooting at because I had made no indication that I was aiming at a deer or anything. All I was doing was just walking quietly and supposed to be listening and looking for deer. And I was not supposed to be taking any shots without checking with him, especially as we need to check for horns, if it's a doe or if it's a buck, or all those things were in effect. And I fire off this hand cannon 2 feet from behind his head. So my poor dad spun around and he was white as a sheet. His whole face was completely white, wide-eyed. And he's looking at me and making sure I'm not shot. And then he's checking himself to make sure he's not shot. And he realized that I hadn't killed anybody or anything. I think I sent a round somewhere into a town in Pennsylvania somewhere. I'm sorry about that if I hit anything. But my dad, after a stern talking to and a reset of our whole mission, he forgave me and continued to hunt with me. And that was one of the most pivotal moments in my journey to manhood, was being able to be in the woods with a gun of my own, loaded and ready to hunt deer. And I almost ruined it by killing myself or my father, but it turned out to be an awesome memory. And in fact, during that hunting trip later on, my dad sat me down in a stand, and he wound up moving just around the crest of a hill, and we wound up both shooting the same deer that year. He got the first shot in, and the deer came to me. It was still moving. I couldn't tell that it was shot, and then I shot that deer, and we both shot that deer. So that was my first deer they ever got, and it was actually with my dad as a double team, which was awesome. And so, yeah, that's my keep your weapon pointed in a safe direction story.